for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Well, welcome. How you doing? It's Fade to Black. Yeah, man. Monday, June 8th, 2026. Wow. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Let's do this, man. Yeah, I checked dates today. It's really funny to see the last show, back in, the last week of May, second week of May, something like that. It's pretty crazy. Been on the road. Yes, I've been on the road for a month and a little longer than that. And here's the trippy thing with that. I've been to Chicago, Palm Springs, of course, just got back from Contact in the Desert. And I taped at Gaia 4 times. 4. 4. And so it was just a blur. Constant stream of airports and hotels and all of that stuff. It was great. It was amazing to get out there and to hang out with so many amazing people. And of course, going all the way back to Delavan, Wisconsin, and Chicago, and then of course Palm Springs and Contact in the Desert, which was absolutely amazing this year. I was so happy to cop that kind of vibe from CITD. Felt like the old days. Everybody just happy. In large part about, I would say, what's going on with disclosure. How the media is dealing with things and the government and the UFO files being dropped and everything just getting elevated the way that it is. And we have a lot of great, which leads me to tonight's show. Dean Alioto is with us, where we've got a lot of great filmmakers just doing really great stuff. Dean is a perfect example of that. And we're going to jump into all of that tonight. But that's part of what CITD is all about. It was a lot of fun. So tonight we do have Dean with us. Tomorrow night, Trey Hudson is here, the God helmet, which I have now experienced. So we will be talking about the God helmet tomorrow night and other things in Trey's research. Wednesday, Kadrich Olson is back with us. How to survive a haunted house. That's right. And I do need that advice because this place is completely haunted. I've made friends with the ghost around here. And then Thursday night, I'm very excited for the show on Thursday because Jessie Hawthorne is with us. She's a great friend of mine. And what she has done in the world of paranormal and her career and everything, just amazing to have her as our guest on Fade to Black. And most of you know Jessie, and she is so excited. I'm excited. She's just amazing. And so there you go. It's going to wrap up our week coming up here on Fade to Black. Also next week, we have another full week. And it's funny because I have to say this. I warned everybody at the beginning of the year. I am booked completely solid through January. I've got a couple of weeks off in December, but I am booked up the entire year. And I saw the problems with Fade to Black coming up because I see what the schedule is. But it's all for the community. It's all for you. Okay. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. Okay. All right. Now, I don't know what my next event coming up is besides me going to Peru in 2 weeks with Brian Forrester. All right. So that's coming up June 20th, I think. And I'll be back around July 2nd. All right. Let's get the show started. So excited to be back in the chair. I gotta say, a couple of things. It takes a minute to get back into the flow. I'm just thank God. Thank gods. I have an amazing team around me. So thank you, Bill, John, Jessica, the moderators here, and of course, Michelle, who books the show, Renee Newman, who writes all of my news for me every single day, and everybody else on my team that keeps this thing running. Drew the Geek, that everybody's been with me for 10 years, and it's just a solid team. And it's the only way that all of this can happen. So thank you to everybody. Now, one last quick note, and this is to Dean. Dean, wave. I want to make sure you're listening. Are you listening? He says, yes, I am listening. I got back into town on Thursday. Okay. Friday and Saturday and Sunday were my first days off in 5 or 6 weeks. All right. I have worn PJs for 3 days, and now it's 4. I'm wearing PJs right now, man. I am. I'm not going to stand up and show you my Charlie Brown flannels, but I needed that. All right. And I'm so excited to have Dean tonight on as my guest, because Michelle is very smart. And I just wanted the best on the show. And I also wanted to continue my relaxed atmosphere around here. And Dean's going to bring that. He is the creator of the cult classic, The McPherson Tape returns. And now, but he is back tonight with his new film. It's called Experiencers Full Disclosure, a documentary exploring UFOs and contact through the eyes of experiencers. Now, for transparency, full disclosure, Dean invited me and a few of my friends for a sneak preview in Hollywood of the film. So I have seen it. It is amazing. It's available now. We've got the links on Amazon below, and so that is there. He is an award-winning film and TV documentarian who has produced numerous specials for A&E, Bravo, and Fox, as well as consulted on the hit James Fox UFO documentary, The Phenomenon. Recently, he was featured in the Paramount Plus documentary Unknown Dimensions as the creator of the first ever sci-fi found footage movie, The McPherson Tape. I was talking with my production team last week about Dean and how important it is to have somebody from Hollywood that has eyes, that has vision, and knows what acts 1, 2, and 3 and their hero's journey truly mean. Our community needs that. The world needs that, and that's what we have with the Experiencers Full Disclosure. I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black the one and only Dean Alioto. Dean,
Jimmy,
congratulations.
Thank you, brother. It's great to be here. Though I feel like I've already been kind of trumped by your disclosure, your full disclosure that you're wearing your pajamas 4 days in a row, dude. This is big news,
dude.
There it is.
Yeah, man. I got into relax mode, and I just enjoy it, man. I just enjoy it. You know what I do, and we're going to get into the movie, and this is going to be a great conversation tonight, Dean. But you know what I really enjoy, and I'm going to tell you because of your gig. You will appreciate what I'm about to tell you. I hope. I love science fiction movies and TV series, but a lot of the time I need to just disconnect. And you know what I watch? I watch offbeat, under the radar comedy series, like comedy series from Canada, right?
Oh, the best.
Or here in the States too as well. A lot of these things I will watch over and over again. And I'm talking about the things like Parks and Recreation or 30 Rock or Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Animal Control, Community. You know, that's another great
It's
just under
comfort
the
food.
right. Yeah. And dude, and I laugh. I enjoy it. It's not serious, right? It's nothing that's going to stress you out.
No,
And-
but it's
and-
funny that you say that, because when I was up in Canada shooting Alien Abduction in St. Lake County, it was really stressful because this is my first network movie. It's UPN, Paramount Network's first TV movie. I'm doing this weird thing a year and a half before Blair Witch comes out, the Blair Witch Project. And so I'm stressed. I'm like, is this just ridiculous? What am I doing here? And I've got the guys from the X-Files, burning through cash, doing the effects and everything. And I see on cable that there's Austin Powers. And I try to get through the first half of it. And I'm like, this is lame. This isn't funny. And I'm really just kind of going, I don't get why people find this amusing at all. Now, I'm by myself. I'm not in a theater, but mostly I've got a really crappy attitude because I am tired. I'm not in a good space to receive anything. Then a few days later, it peaks with the stress and everything. I'm so burnt. And the second half happens to be on again. And I'm in a place where I don't give a crap anymore. And I just relax and I'm watching it. And it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I'm laughing my ass off. And I'm like, okay, let's just, wash over me. Let me completely unplug. When you laugh, you actually bring about a chemical change in your body, which is why people love going to horror films as well, because it brings about this chemical rush.
Sure.
And so I believe in that. I think that it should be, something that is prescribed for doctors when you're stressed, man. Comedy, dude.
Yeah. Andy Samberg is somebody that he's got a lot of recognition, but he deserves more. He has a doctorate in harmless humor, right? He's got a doctorate in it. And he's got 2 films out that I watch over and over again. I laugh at the same jokes every time, but Hot Rod, his first movie, which is amazing, and with a great soundtrack, by the way. And his other movie is called Pop Star, where he plays this rap artist, and it's a mockumentary. And I just watch him over and over. You know what's really good? Okay, then we'll move on. We'll move on. Here's another Canadian TV series that is really, really good. It's called Kim's Convenience. See, you haven't heard of it.
No.
Watch it. Just watch Kim's Convenience. It's brilliant. It's about a convenience store named
Like
after
Clerks.
the daughter of the family, Kim's Convenience. And man. And I don't like laugh tracks. Let me decide when to laugh, right?
Yeah.
So if I start a TV series and it's got a laugh track, done.
Yeah.
I'm over it. I'm over it. But Kim's Convenience is another Canadian, just brilliant series. Okay. Oh man, is Hollywood? We were talking about you last week. I had a team meeting, and I'm sitting around discussing a few things, and one of the subjects came up: is Hollywood handling disclosure right? We've got Steven Spielberg this Friday, right? I've got my tickets. I'm going, right? You've seen the film, by the way. No spoilers. We don't have to get into that. But by the way, Dean comes up to me. Dean, I'm throwing you under the bus.
Oh,
Dean comes up to me at Contact in the Desert, and he whispers in my ear, "Hey man, I just saw Disclosure Day." I go, dude. Do you want to? No. It was so funny. I'm excited about. I don't know what I am going to see. It's Spielberg, so the production value is going to be there. Yeah, but is Hollywood handling disclosure right, in your opinion?
Well, the only movie right now that's on the docket besides my documentary and some other ones that have come out recently, is Disclosure Day. So they haven't really been in the game. Over the past few years, there hasn't been any films that I'm aware of, Hollywood films, that have been made. This is the first one that addresses it full frontal. I mean, it's right in the name. This one, I feel, does. Again, no spoiler alerts, but this does. This will get the public up to speed with where we're at with it. And I will tell you, it's the first time the word experiencers has been mentioned in a movie. That is phenomenal in a big Hollywood studio, and Spielberg nonetheless. That's epic. That is a big. That's as much as when Obama said Area 51,
right?
On Jay Leno, and all of a sudden it's like, now we can talk about Area 51. So it's just starting. It's just starting, and it's funny because I see the comments. My trailer is on YouTube under my company Captured Pictures, and I see all the comments, and they're like, "Wait, why are all these disclosure movies coming out now? Is there smoke, here?" And I didn't even think about that. I'm like, because I'm just buried in getting the film done, right? Getting it done and out there. But it is kind of like an intersection where all these cars are coming at the same time, and we're meeting here. So I think, in reference to the first film that Hollywood is bringing out there, which is Spielberg's movie, I think it is handling it right. It's making it fun. And, but the other side of that is you've got the documentaries that for the first time are kind of leading the pack. You've got, in order of how they were released, you've got The Program, which came out last year, James Fox's movie. And then you have Dan Farah's, wonderful, exhaustively researched film, Age of Disclosure, that came out. And then you have an oldie buddy goodie with Luigi Ventinelli, and he's got his, Bob Lazar thing. And Bob is, relevant to the whole disclosure thing. And so I feel kind of where we need to go next, what is inside the intersection, if you will, once everyone crosses in there, it is the experiencers.
That's right.
This is something that it hasn't been brought up. I like to say that all these hearings that we've had, which are great, they're showing the elephant's tail, but no one wants to talk about the elephant in the room.
That's right. And do you remember? I know you do. People of Earth, right? Comedy series, great comedy series, great. Yeah. But I remember in the first episode when they get together at the church, and somebody says, "Okay, so you guys were all abducted. You're abductees," and somebody, "No, we are experiencers." Right. And I thought to myself at that time, Dean, somebody has been hanging out in our community, somebody who is writing, right, those scripts and that storyline has infiltrated us, because that is a very important point and word inside of our community. Now, they made fun of it, and I was happy that they're poking fun at because I laughed, but I was like, that's spot on how it really is. But now Spielberg is going to take our little word, right, experiencers, and fully bring it into pop culture on a global scale, where now everybody's going to be aware of what an experiencer is. I don't think that's a non-trivial point in our community, isn't it? It's a really big deal.
It's not being it's not being spotlighted, which is which it will be, because it's coming. I mean, you can only talk about, here's the thing. The ultimate goal of the hearings is to see, right, dead alien bodies, recovered craft, et cetera. Well, we're never going to see the whole craft, because if it does exist, that's going to be hidden because of the technology and everything. But to see clear photos and stuff, I always joke, are we going to see an alien ship tailpipe? Is that what we want? But to actually talk to the people who have spoken to the people inside these crafts, the pilots, it's astonishing that we haven't gone there yet. But again, I get it, because you can give amnesty to people that have been hiding information, right? Which is what we're doing with these whistleblowers and everything. And inside, embedded in, whether it's the Department of Energy or Department of Defense, whatever department it's in, the program is in. You can give amnesty to those guys. How do you give amnesty to people that may have known about abductions and these experiencers? And the thing is that it isn't just your everyday, people that you see portrayed in movies and in the media, whether it's Bubby, Bubba on the farm or whatever. It isn't. It is a cross section. It's military people. Goldie Hawn just came out on, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, and said, I had these experiences. I was taken and blah, blah, blah. I mean, we're seeing, here's the thing that is kind of, I'm in shock about every year I'm in this, is that we're only briefly hearing about this. It's coming to light right now. But the fact is that there are hundreds of thousands of people that over the years have reported this, maybe more. And the thing is, what's sad about it is that everyone's keeping it on the down low, whereas people now can talk about UFOs and, I saw a UFO. I mean, my mother saw a UFO. I haven't. They can talk about that and not worry that someone's going to make fun of them. This is different. And how it's different is because this is a personal experience. And just to make the distinction really clear, if I were to say to you that, or to say to anyone who's not familiar with this whole field, I would say I was abducted by this person, another human, abducted, grabbed me, shoved me in a van and did experiments on me and not great stuff and, dumped me off. And this happens every once in a while. You wouldn't say,
You're
crazy.
Really?
Was the van white? Was it black? Did the guy have a ski mask on? Right. Was it rope that you were tied up? Really? Hell no, you wouldn't do that. You would have nothing but empathy for this person. Well,
you would call for justice. You would call for justice, and
absolutely on this person's behalf. Yeah. Well, yes. You take that and you substitute to say, I was taken by these NHIs, these non-human intelligent beings, and this is what happened. And the knee-jerk reaction by the media is, oh, really? Was it a round flying saucer, or was it a triangle craft? Were they the Greys or the praying mantis? And so that needs to be wiped out, just like the X-Files theme music has been wiped out from these reports of the government disclosing UFOs in the hearings. So we're now doing that. This film, the goal of this film is to be the first film that grabs the doorknob of the closet and opens it up and lets these people out and gives them a voice. And, we were just talking about before we started, the biggest reaction that we got from the screening at Contact in the Desert, and we had a great packed room, was they said two things. They said, one is they felt triggered, which they said, I felt bad. And they said, no, it was unavoidable. Because the detail of it and the animation that we have and everything that's representing it and the new experiences that we have, they're in their 20s, was like unexpected. And so it brought it back for them. But then they also said this, and they said, this is why it's more important, is that they felt heard. And again, I'm in the rabbit hole for 8 years on this movie, man. I have no idea if it's good or bad, whatever. And so when you went to that little special screening we had, and you're like, dude, this is really good, and we're getting good feedback, I'm like, I'm more relieved than anything else that I didn't spend 8 years of my life going to experiencer support groups and everything to, so anyway.
Well, so I brought, which you met, brought three close friends of mine to the screening, and I value their opinion. Well, they're also very close friends of mine, and we hang out a lot. And I was so glad that you got a chance to meet them. But anyway, wow. So after this, we talked. We went out to dinner. We were with each other for another 8 hours after the screening. There in Hollywood, and we talked about the film all day long. And here's, you know why it's triggering? Experiencers, and this is everywhere. It's not just like some limited hangout of reaction. Experiencers are a whole different thing for the world to digest. Okay? We're just now getting to the point of talking about objects in the sky that we can't explain. Okay, so we've gotten to that point. But the media and the government and it's like there's a line in the sand, isn't there, Dean? Right? Where
Yeah.
you go, okay, well, we'll give you where we are at. You can have this. Abductions, right?
Right.
Going through wall. No. It's why do you think that is? I mean, you can't have one without the other. If a technology is getting to this planet and a species is getting to this planet, why wouldn't they interface with us? Why is that out of bounds? Why is that, you know what I mean? Why do you think that is?
I think it's because this is a completely different experience. No pun intended. One is a passive witnessing a craft going by. Another is literally, for these people, one can argue, just on semantics alone, it is kidnapping. These people are being taken, right? And it's against their will. Later on, it becomes this spiritual thing. Quick aside, when I went to my first experiencer support group at CIROS, which is a Close Encounters research organization, Yvonne Smith's experiencer support group, I asked everyone, after everyone was introducing themselves, hi, my name is so-and-so. I've done a business TED Talk. I'm a doctor. I'm a lawyer. I'm an architect, all across the board there, and a major in the Army. I asked them, I said, if you could go back in time and change this, would you? And not have this happen. And I waited like 10, 15 seconds, which is a long time, for people to raise their hands, and no one did, because they felt like this had become something that was of greater importance. And we can talk about that later, but it's being of service. But the idea that the government might know that this is going on, how would you even address that? How would you come out and say, all right, here's the photographs of the dead alien bodies, there's this and that. By the way, we don't really like to harp on this, but we've known that they've been coming here for decades, and they've had this relationship where they've been taking people from childhood and up, a lot of these cases, and in the military, and the mic drop, there's nothing we can do about it.
Right.
That to me is the biggest ontological shock. So whatever footage that Burchett and Burleson and Luna and everyone else are talking about, where they go, we've seen footage that's, that would almost shake you to your boots. That's nothing compared to saying that there is a force that is so much more powerful than us that we can't do anything about it, that they're doing this thing and we're not entirely sure. We have some clues. That's a big pill to swallow. And to let the world know there's nothing we can do about it is the biggest.
But is it really, Dean?
No, you're right. I'm sorry. I was just talking on my butt.
No,
everyone will deal with it.
What I mean
they
by
just
that
go, oh,
is,
really, man? Whatever. What's on TV tonight?
But anybody that achieves that position, right?
Yeah,
it is not understanding what humans do. Now what do we have? We have an example of one. We have us, right? Okay, so what do we do? Right now in South America, there is a new species that was just discovered today, right? In the rainforest, right? Happens every day. Mm-hmm. That species, the kids are going, where's mom and dad? They didn't come home today. Oh, they were bagged and tagged by these crazy aliens.
Yeah.
And taken to a laboratory. Right? So we do that every single day. What did we do in biology class? Remember when you had to dissect the worm?
Frogs.
Oh,
we had frogs.
That was the worst day of my life, man.
Oh,
I'll never.
disgusting.
Dude, I called in sick. I didn't go to school. The next day, I'm in school. Whew, I missed the dissection of the frogs. Oh, no. My biology teacher said, Church, front of the class, man, here's your frog. And I still had to do it. But the point being, that's what we do. And so an advanced species coming here, look, good, bad, or indifferent, what I'm saying is this stuff just happens. It's what
Here's
we
the
do.
difference.
Nobody should. Yeah,
we don't come out and say that we take new species, different types of indigenous people. We don't advertise the fact that we do that, right? We don't, and that would be something that we could easily handle, and we have done that in the past. We've stood up and defended them, and luckily it doesn't go on anything like it did in the past. But globally, to come out and say people are being taken in the middle of the night. And see, here's the thing. It's a house of cards, dude. There's so many different levels, because as you got to open one door, and the very first door that you got to walk through is we're being abducted. The second one is they're coming into your bedroom at night and doing this, not during the day. They don't pull you over in your car and say, hey, step out of your car, please, sir. The next door is they are taking you, paralyzing you, and bringing you through a physical wall or a window. And then the other door is you're going to be levitated into this craft. So already our understanding of physics and everything is all whacked. And they're doing these godlike, have these godlike powers. And then you get on this craft and this thing happens. The only way that I could just come up as a writer, because that's what I'm a sci-fi writer normally, is to say, all right, let's lean into the narrative of this. God, the final door again. I'm sorry, I'm going back to the door analogy. Is the hybrid program. The hybrid program.
Right.
So that's a huge door. That's a garage warehouse door, right? So the only way that this can be palatable for the public is to say, look, either it's our species that's coming back in time because we don't have enough people, because as Michael Masters would say, our species is on the decline. We don't have that population explosion anymore. That's going away. And if it goes too far the other way, then we're in trouble, because then we're interbreeding because we don't have enough gene samples. So if you go back in time, you would grab, like a Neanderthal or something like that. We would do that, but maybe they have to come back to us, and they're taking us. So again, this is the whole narrative. Don't kill the messenger. But how do you, if you can say this is an operation that's being done to save mankind, or in concert with them, so we're saving both of ours, both of our lives, then maybe you've got a chance at saying, okay, this is something that we're now doing like trial testing on, where we have to, we're going to use humans or whatever. But I don't know how the government ever can come out and say this. And that doesn't mean so we shouldn't. It means that we should bring this out and we should have this discussion and have greater minds than mine talking about this and how to rectify this with the public. And so in many ways, this documentary was meant to open a few of those doors and to say, okay, we're going to have to walk through, we're going to have to walk through some doors here, guys, because this is happening, whether you want to believe it or not.
Well, this isn't the first time where these ideas have been played out and presented. You're doing it in your film as a documentary with real experiencers. But the world, if you go back to, the world has seen this before. And if you go back, you got Betty and Barney Hill, right? But if you go back to Spielberg in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, one of the craziest scenes in that movie, at least for me, is when Barry gets abducted in the cornfield. Yeah.
Well, he gets pulled through the doggy door.
It gets pulled, dude.
What the hell?
You remember that?
It's funny.
Toys lit up in his room. That was terrifying.
It's funny you mention that, because it was playing at the ArcLight Theater. God bless the ArcLight. Hopefully they'll open it again here in LA. It was playing at that theater, and I wanted my daughter to see it because she was at the age when I saw it. It was important, but I didn't want to freak her out because of that scene. So I showed her that scene before we went to the movies, and she was fine with it. But that's jacked up. That is a jacked up scene, dude.
Jacked up scene. When she's running through the field, Barry.
Yeah.
Oh my heart. Yeah, Barry. And you were so happy to see him walk off the ship at the end, right?
Yeah.
So again, against our will or whatever, this is something that the world has seen before, but now we're testing new waters. What did you? I have to ask you. You've been immersed in this subject for so long now. What was your takeaway? What did you learn from making this film?
That's a good question.
Besides how cool great animation is. Well, we're going to circle back to that, by the way, because that was a really tasty, unexpected joy in this film. But what did you learn? What
What I learned is that, and I'm going to say that my education started when I went to my first experiencer support group, which was probably 2019, I want to say. That kind of blew me away because I've got a decent BS detector because I worked on crime shows for like a dozen years. And so I thought, well, I'm going to see people that'll be in there that shouldn't be in there. And, posers or whatever. I had all these preconceived ideas. Again, I'm agnostic, but I'm just going in with an equally open mind, but a critical mind, right? Critical thinking. That's rare these days, but that's important when you do these documentaries. So I go in there and not one bleep from my BS meter as we're going around the room. It was like an HOA meeting. These were normal people. And there were no displays of someone confabulating anything. They were consistent. They were surprisingly intelligent, but they all shared the same thing, which is this kind of I want to say openness. This kind of, it's hard to explain, but there was kind of this almost a serene quality about them, where if you go to a typical like support meeting for alcoholics or something, there's a lot of bitching that goes on. There was none of that. It was basically talking about what is the high end of this? What is the spiritual takeaway here? What is coming? They were concerned with the planet, what is coming and what they, keep learning. So that to me took it and made it this spiritual thing. And that's why I love the movie Close Encounters so much, is that there's no bad guys in Close Encounters. There really isn't. How do you do a thriller action film without bad guys? And so the military is trying to get set up, right, for this thing to capture whatever.
About that. You're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right on that. I had to stop.
Genius. Spielberg, genius, man. And so, but the film is a spiritual thing. It's about someone being touched. And when Roy Neary is at the railroad tracks and his truck is stopped there and he gets hit, what happens to him after? He's jolting like this because he's had an implant, whether it's spiritual, transmission, whatever, but he's been implanted with something, because before then, he's not building Devil's Tower models in his living room. That comes after. So it's genius. And working with, Hynek and Jacques Vallée to an extent to make this as realistic as possible. That was the perfect marriage of that. So these guys are all operating from that spiritual wonderment, that curiosity. And so I left feeling kind of like I got close to something. I was vibrating at a different level. In fact, to be honest, I had some high strangeness when I was editing this movie, which is my eyelids were fluttering. Like I was getting too much energy or something.
Don't start making stuff up, Dean. Don't start making stuff up.
I can bring in my girlfriend, Allie, because she could see it from across the room. And she goes, "What's going on with your eyes right now?" And I said,
"Really?"
I said, "I don't know, but I used to go to meditation retreats years ago and had done that. And when it was like really intense, my eyelids would flutter. And I noticed this and I said it to, the meditation teacher. And he said, "Oh, you're getting too much energy and you need to breathe." And
Emily Blunt. So
dude,
were you a consultant on this film?
No, but that clucking sound that she makes.
Yes.
In the documentary, one of the experiencers talks exactly about that. And that was shot, a few years before Steven Spielberg and David Koepp even wrote the script. But anyway, the point is I had this physical thing every single time I sat down to edit. And I asked Yvonne Smith about this. I said, "Yvonne, what the hell's going on?" because I've come through my past. I have no missing time that I'm aware of. I don't have this or that. And she laughed at me like I was an idiot, which isn't too off the mark, I guess. And she said, Dean, they don't have to knock on your door to get to you. And so that was her version of it. I don't know what my version is. All I know is that it felt like I was on a mission from God for the past 8 years or whoever. And it changed. The structure changed. It became this thing that was supposed to be part of a segment of the Alien Perspective series. And it was so embedded in these experiencers and these new experiencers that it became its own project. And I realized I need to protect this, and I need to make sure that this is a thought that doesn't get interrupted, that this gets a chance to totally play out. And so what I learned, to answer your question, is I learned that it's much more complicated. It's more spiritual than we know. And at the end of the day, everyone who's involved in this feels like they're being of service. So I guess what I learned is that this isn't happening by random. This isn't a random situation.
Right. And that is such a really good point about the changes that occur that lean into purely spiritual, and that consciousness is what is it the stainless steel medical tables and the coldness of the room and some a needle being poked into your belly button. Yeah, okay, that's all frightening stuff, right? Okay, yeah. But I think anybody that has gone through it would do it a second time, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that I and I've kind of leaned on the same thing. And here's another interesting, it can be anybody. Yeah. Debbie Cobble is in this film. Debbie Cobble and I, as you know, we went to the same high school at the same time, grew up in the same neighborhood, drank the same water, had the same friends, right? Went to the same shopping mall, the same teachers, the same neighbors. She is the wife next door. If you really want to, just like paint some generic picture like this, who is June Cleaver? June Cleaver's Debbie Cobble. Yeah. And feet on the ground.
All American.
Yeah. I'm talking about Cumberland, Indiana. Right. And when she talks about, I remember saying to you, people need to understand where I'm coming from in all of this. I don't want to give away anything in the film, but she brings up the cornfields. Okay. Strange stuff happened in those cornfields that she's talking about. That's our neighborhood that we grew up in, right? As you head east. And I know those cornfields. I know Debbie. Debbie is just like anybody else that you would pass on the street. And we really need to take this into consideration. I think that's a special part about this film, is that you've got a really good cross section of people. I was going to use another word there, but you know what I mean? You've got everything represented there. It's not, as you said, it's not Bubba and his cousin Ernie fishing in a Louisiana swamp. That's not what we're dealing with.
No, we've got a former assistant attorney general. We have a forest worker. We have someone on an assembly line. We have a musician. We have a business exec in Chicago. This is a cross section of mankind. There's no stereotyping who these experiencers are. And again, this is a small sampling, but I wanted to have a nice, diverse range of people, but it's a small sampling of a much, much bigger pool.
For sure.
And so the question is, it's not hard to do polls on how many people have seen UFOs. People will be honest about that. It is infinitely difficult to do any poll, a truthful poll of someone saying, yeah, sure, I was taken. That's never going to be on a US consensus, takers list. It's unknown, but according to Yvonne Smith, it's in the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. At least she feels it could be more. And so this is a massive operation. And, the questions that people have, which is, well, how do you conduct such an operation? What is the point of this? And don't they have enough research that they've done that they don't need to take any more humans? But it's tied in with the hybrid program, which apparently is still going on. And the scale of it it's astronomical. And so, as Yvonne Smith says in the documentary, I can only go by the research that I'm given, and or the results from the research that she's doing. And to her credit, I do want to address this one thing. When people hear that, in the documentary or in any part of the experiencer's experience where they're recalling memories and they're going through hypnosis, and they talk about how you can be manipulated, this or that. That's a crappy way to do hypnosis, is when you are doing that, and you can do it, you can suggest that. Well, we didn't do that. In fact, we had one rule, which is that you can, and she told me how she does the regressive hypnosis because I'd never seen it done before. And so on camera for the first time, we're putting these two sisters under. And the rules that we had were, you can't say anything leading. So basically what we did is it was a relaxation technique. And that's what the basis of hypnosis is. Whether you're quitting smoking or whatever, you start with a relaxing technique, meditation. Once you get into that state where you're chilled and the monkey brain is stopped and the subconscious has a chance to have a voice, then you ask questions, which is, what happened on this night? Now that has already been decided by the experiencer themselves. They want to go back to that particular night. So we go back to that night and then that's it. And so she's saying, what do you see? And so none of these things were like if they said, we saw a light outside the window. She doesn't say, okay, do you see a craft in that? None of that. If that happened, I'm pulling pulling the plug. I'm deleting it off my hard drive, dude. This is something that I got to stand behind because I'm venturing in this. And this is also my reputation as a filmmaker. And so it was critical that we did that. And then the sisters were sequestered separately. So they had these sessions completely done separately. So there were certain safeguards instilled there, and you see that played out. So when people hear about regressive hypnosis, just know that there's a right way to do this. And there's a lot of people who are doing it correctly. And Yvonne Smith is right up there. She studied not only with John Mack and Bud Hopkins and everything, but she studied with Michael Newton and I believe Monroe and I believe also Dr. Brian Weiss out of Cornell, who's been doing regressive hypnosis and some past life stuff as well. That's a whole other documentary. But anyway, yeah, so there were certain ground rules that we had and adhered to them. And so I felt like I needed to do that in order for this thing to even be something that I could invest, again, 8 years of my time in. So
I have to stand up and give you some serious applause here for one very important thing. It's not going to be what you think, but as a filmmaker, as a storyteller, that the one that you are, you want to make a something that has production value for yourself personally. You want to sit back and go, shit, man, some good editing. You know what I mean? Yeah, okay, that was, okay, that was okay. All right, you want to do that, and to achieve something that the world, because production value today, there's high expectations with it now. You can't free ride your way through a film these days. There's too much good stuff out there. The screenplays may be shit, but the cinematic value can be very good. How do you do that? How do I say this? How do you combine the cinematic Hollywood experience with something like experiencers? I mean, how important was that to you?
It was critical because like you said, the days of just saying, "Hey, isn't this an amazing story?" and parking someone and having them sitting down and grab a video, VHS, or grab your phone and videotaping them. Those days are gone. And for me, the documentaries that stand out for me, that I find that I'm gravitating towards more and more, are the ones that feel like I'm watching a movie, that happen to be about these people that experienced this thing that happened to be true. And so first and foremost, I'm an independent filmmaker, and I've done Westerns, I've done sci-fi, horror. And so I have a kind of a certain thematic approach that I wanted to cross over into making these documentaries. And so that's why we worked really hard to have camera moves. We have, cranes and stuff, the color grading, just the techniques of covering certain stories from certain vantage points that you don't ever normally see in a documentary, or specifically in this type of a documentary. So for me, I wanted to be as kind of as kind of overwhelming as these stories can be. I needed to match that with the visuals. And so one of the ways that I did that was with the animation, and not just I'm not talking AI animation where you just give a prompt. I'm talking hand-drawn animation. Thank you, brother. And I wanted it to have a certain tone, and that was a big discussion. And I came up with a tone that I wanted it to be film noir. I wanted it to feel like it was, it had some gravitas to it, because these stories were so important and so powerful that the animation had to keep up with them. And the best way to do that was to have it all hand drawn and have these people look like the actual people that went through this, and to show you stuff and be able to put the camera where maybe you wouldn't have a big enough budget to do, to put the camera there, because it would mean tearing down a wall or whatever. I can do it with animation. I can put the camera anywhere. And so as an example, when we go inside the ship, I've got angles that you haven't seen before.
Sure.
And so that was really, really fun to do. And I don't do the animation. I've got this great team, several illustrators and animators, but I storyboard everything. So I'm drawing these out, and sometimes I'll look at the storyboard and go, "Oh, that's good if you were going to shoot that on stage, but wouldn't you rather be up above and looking out, or go through the wall?" And I'm like, "Yes, duh."
And
so it was education for me. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So that was really, really fun.
Now, I'm not going to, no spoilers here, everybody. Just go and watch the film. It's great from beginning to end. But I'm going to say this about the animation. It made me smile. It was completely out of the box, a way to it's everybody just supports the film. It's not the film. The film is real people. But there's a scene of Betty and Barney Hill in the car talking. And I got to tell you, it brought the level of the film up to have that approach. And it wasn't, how do I want to say this? Because I want everybody to see it. And once you see the animation, you'll fully understand what Dean and I are talking about. You knew that it was Betty and Barney, right? Although the style of the animation has artistic license where it may not look. No, you were looking at Betty and Barney having a conversation in the car, a very animated conversation, I might add, right? And it just added to the film. It added to the film. It was, man, it just really made me smile. Like, well done, Dean. Well done.
Thank you. Well, the challenge is, again, having done these crime documentaries, we would do reenactments with actors that, if we were lucky, kind of looked like the people that were portraying. And if you got them, it's funny, there was this ratio where the more they look like them, the more apt they are not to be good actors. You couldn't get both. And so with animation, you do get both. And with the Barney and Betty Hill, we actually got the regressive tapes, the actual audio of Barney and Betty Hill's regression tapes, recordings. And that's played underneath the animation. So you literally are hearing them in their own words describing this, and you're seeing this played out. That was really fun to do and was exciting for me to be able to see that. Like, I couldn't wait to see that brought to life because, again, I'm an audience first and foremost, man. So entertain me. I want to see this thing. And so the challenge for me as a filmmaker is to get as close as possible to what I was thinking and envisioning for an audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're also, as an artist, you want as many people to see it as possible, right? You want the biggest audience. So you got to play to the lowest and highest common denominators, right? You kind of got to, you got to go to both extremes. And our community lies somewhere in the middle too, as well. That is going to be seeing this film. And so to have that and that approach in this, you are looking at the bigger picture. You're taking this outside of our community, and you want everybody else that doesn't know what an experiencer is to learn something and to stay with it from beginning to end.
Yeah, and that was the goal, to keep that seamless. One of the biggest challenges, actually it is the biggest challenge, is I have to hold two audiences in my hands simultaneously. So every single scene has to be the metric to whether or not it makes it in the cut. It had to tick those two groups. And the first one is the UFO community that has seen everything, read everything, or experienced everything. So I've got to show them stuff that they haven't seen before and do a couple mic drops and have them feel like, okay, this is something that I can now add to my toolbox and my research that I'm doing on this. And then the other is the public, and to give them something that they can catch up to where we're all at. And so as an example of that, in the first 5-10 minutes, you're not going to hear about the hybrid program. That's too much to handle. But there's enough of other things that we can talk about. But at some point, when it's appropriate and it fits in with the story and the pacing, we're going to go there, and we're going to go there deep, and we're going to talk about it in a way that, like you said, all American, salt of the earth person who has this experience, we hear it from their point of view. That story for me, I always get choked up whenever I see it, but it has to be earned. And so I've got to serve those two audiences. And then also there's the evidence. I've got to present evidence, and I have to say, look, we're making the attempt to do that. And here's what we found. And it's pretty damn compelling. And so, that was the juggling. And that's probably why the post-production took so long, is it's like, how do I keep this going? And how do I have both of these people simultaneously fully involved and enjoying this and teaching them, showing them stuff that they haven't seen before.
Dean, stay right there. We're going to take our break. Our guest tonight, Dean Alioto. His new film is out, The Experiencers, Full Disclosure. Dean, stay right there. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now.
Contact in the Desert is back. Come see a legendary lineup of iconic speakers, including George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, Daniel Sheehan, George Noory, Whitley Strieber, Chris Ramsey, Dr. Diane Hennessy Powell, and many more. Join us in beautiful Indian Wells, California, May 28th through June 1st, as we explore infinite realms. Get your tickets now at contactthedesert.com.
I'm heading back to the Midwest for the Contact Modalities Expo, May 1st through the 3rd, 2026, in Delavan, Wisconsin, at the Lake Resort. It is beautiful. This is a great conference right in the heart of the Midwest, where I'm from. I'll see you there. Just go to Contact Modalities Expo, that's XPO.com.
I will be hosting and presenting once again at Contact in the Desert. That's May 28th through June 1st, 2026, the largest UFO conference in the world. Come and hang out with us June 23rd through July 1st. Tickets and everything else that you need is at contactinthedesert.com. Want to change your life? Want that paradigm shift? Then visit Peru with Brian Forrester and myself for the Inca Celebration of the Sun, June 23rd through July 1st, 2026. A full 10 days of visiting the country, all of the amazing sights, and of course, the celebration of the winter solstice. It's all simple to do. Go to hiddenincatours.com. Come join us for the Monty Python Scotland Tour, August 1st through the 9th, 2026. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event where you get to go to the castles from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. August 1st through the 9th, 2026. Just visit HaleyARamsey.com. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's fade to black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? JimmyChurchRadio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut. River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Dean Alioto is with us, an amazing filmmaker and storyteller right here in Hollywood, California, that has taken the move with this new film. It is called The Experiencers, Full Disclosure. We've got links for Amazon below. And Dean, where can everybody also check out your work?
They can go to Experiencers. That's Experiencers with an S, movie.com. I'm always going to be posting on Instagram under my name, Dean Alioto, or they can go to YouTube under Captured Pictures, and you'll see some of the stuff that I'm posting and updates. And so if you subscribe or follow on these, I'm always posting new information.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Bill, Jessica, and John, please post those links for Dean up in the chat. I wanted to ask you, Dean, the idea of an experiencer is extremely complex. How did you choose? What are some of the bullet points that you wanted to make sure were in the film for the rest of the world to understand what you and our community is talking about?
Well, number one, I wanted to show that these are people just like you and me. This isn't a separate subset of people who you would look at them and you go, oh, well, I get why they would be, whether that's derogatory or not. That wasn't the case. Again, I don't have myself in these docs. Like there's a lot of follow docs, and I dig those. Those are good where you've got someone who's leading us through all this stuff. I'm someone who kind of and it's just again a technique that I use, which is no narration. It's just following these people and listening to them tell their own story, and which can be challenging. But these people are the best advocates for themselves, rather than me telling the audience. Oh, this person does this, and this is why you should listen to them. I would rather let them present the case. In other words, I'd rather have them go up on in the courtroom in the stand, take the stand by themselves, and speak their truth. And so, one thing I do want to touch back, that someone, Lord of Ness, I think is their name. They said that these people are not abducted. They agreed to this. That's an interesting component, and we do talk about that in the documentary. And John Mack, one of his big, for a lot of people who didn't know about this, big revelations was there was this belief, this theory called dual alien identity or dual identity, where these experiencers felt that in some way they were connected to these beings. And one of those possibilities was that it was a past life thing, where when they came into this life, they said, I'm agreeing to do this. And so when these beings have said, as a response to the experiencers saying, you have no right to do this, what do they always say? Yes, we do. Well, if there's an agreement that's made beforehand, then I guess, yes, they do. And so if you, in a past life, came from, whether they're another future, another planet, and you're reincarnating here as a human to help with whatever this program, this hybrid program is, then this would be a mutually agreed upon thing. Because for me, one of the things that I always ponder is, I'm pretty sure after going to countless conventions for the past 8 years and conferences, UFO conferences, that there's a huge section of these people that attend that would volunteer to do this. If they're not already experiencers, that they would volunteer to do this, to have that experience. And so one would say, well, why don't they just take volunteers? Right? That's a good question. But there's something that is tied in with them. And I'm not saying that it's genetics or anything else, DNA, but there's something that's tied in where this is something that was set up before, early on. Again, a lot of these stories happen when they're kids and their parents. It's generational. There's a bigger thing going on here that we, that we explore. So, yeah, there's so many different facets of this. I could just go on and on just on this one section alone.
And the word experiencer, I don't even know if it's in the dictionary. Could experience is experiencer a new word that our community has generated? But if that's the case, we have to come up with an accurate definition of it. And I know that you've thought about that. What is your definition of experiencer?
I actually thought about that. I went, I wonder what the Webster Dictionary is on that. Here's what I do is I partner experiencer with chosen, because these people are chosen. This isn't random. And so they could also call themselves chosen, but that has this religious connotation to it. The experience that they have, I think, is more encompassing, because it is this thing that's active. Choosing someone, then being chosen, it's kind of passive. But these guys are experiencing something. And so I think the word is perfectly suited. Deb Koppel said, she says, I don't like alien abductee, contactee, sounds kind of 50 woo-woo-ish. She goes, I've had experiences. I'm an experiencer. So I think that's the best definition.
Do you see a day when, man, it would be so momentous, where experiencers are in front of Congress and the Senate, and given the platform that everybody else has been given lately?
Yeah. I feel that it's going to have to be done, because we're ignoring this facet of being a human. And at this point, it's part of being a human. It just is. And so to not be able to talk about it, whether it's a court or it's an anthropological study or it's a documentary, it has to be brought up, because these people need to be heard. And so if it's brought up in a court setting, having a seat, and I just did an interview with one of the military people that was at the hearing, who says on camera that he thinks that they should have they should be heard and they should have a seat at the table. And so that's a huge, huge bite. And a huge revelation. And so the idea of how that would play out, I think it would be presenting it in a way that is saying, look, this thing's been going on. And we personally, as the people are going through this, we've made peace with it because we know that we're part of something that is helping mankind, whether it's spelled out or not. We feel in our bones. I mean, these experiencers will tell you there is something going on here. This is a bigger purpose that's going on right now. And so I feel like how the mechanics of that would be with him to sit down and say, hey, this has been going on. I'm working on it right now, on what that would be, what the verbiage would be, and what would be the best positioning for that. But it's coming because we are going to smack into a wall with this disclosure, because we're only going to get so far with photographic evidence.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But we're in such we live in such a litigious world, right?
Yeah.
And if the government in any way opens the door to a close encounters of the third kind situation, right? Some type of off-world agreement to for abductions.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable with the possibilities of that, because then it's going to be, how long have you known? How long have you let this go on? And by the way, I wasn't cool with it. I'll see you in court. You know what I mean? That's I think that's another part of the government's disclosure process, that they have to deal with a lot of different things that may be put them in a legal jeopardy type of position.
Okay, so let me ask you this about that one. I love this because there's tons of things that come out that are contradictory in this UFO field that I love shining a light on. This is one of them. We've got the Holloman Air Force Base, where supposedly Eisenhower, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ship comes down and what was it? Valiant Thor. He comes out, and then at some point there's an agreement between this species and mankind that we're going to give them technology, and in return we get to abduct humans. So let me ask you that about that. Why would this species need to get permission for something they can do that humans can't stop them from doing? A. B. Why would you give a species, a civilization, who only recently after that supposed meeting had dropped bombs in countries, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing a crap load of people with these? Why would you give them more technology that they can pervert? Because all technology gets perverted. I always bring up the example. You go, oh, it'd be great to get anti-gravity, because in our crafts that we have to use so much power that's polluting the skies and stuff, the airplanes, they would be, a tenth of the weight, because anti-gravity would just carry it and lift it. Well, the military, what are they going to do with that? They're going to lift people off the planet and send them into outer space that we don't like. We pervert every technology. So why would they give a loaded gun to, on the spectrum of species? We're not even a type species. And there's 4 that's been broken down, and some say there's 5. So we're still in nursery school, still in kindergarten, as much as we want this communion with them. There's a reason why the experiencers are not, being taken out from the door and say, hey, come over here. As an example, Homeland Security Supervisor. Okay. He was one of the first people I met at my first experiencer support group. He tells a story that every time he knows that they're coming, he goes to his double door, the French doors that goes out to his deck, and he says, all right, let's do it. He gets to stand on his own feet. He gets to say, okay, come and get me, meet me man to man or species to species. Let's do this. Every single time. They make him go back down to the couch, lay down prone, and then they bring him up, levitate him out. Sometimes they pull him by his feet and pull him out. And it's something that for him originally was extremely challenging because it's like, can you give me that respect? Is that self-respect? But it's something that we don't do with bears when I'm comparing the two, but I guess I am. We don't go up to a bear and say, hey, come over here, get in our van. We're going to do some experiments. We knock their ass out because we are violent. And there are stories of these experiencers being able to like get their hands on one of these guys, or it's happened before, I've heard in these cases, and smack them around. We're a violent, species still. We're still primates, guys. Let's not lose sight of that. So for me, where I get excited is the hope that we're going to get to the middle of the bridge. We don't have to get all the way with technology and evolution, get to the point that they're at, but we have to meet in the middle of the bridge at least. And right now we're on the first, maybe the second plank of the bridge. And so we are making progress, but we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
that's my take.
It's in our DNA to shoot first. It's in our DNA. There is an island in the Indian Ocean off the coast of India, and that has a culture there that has never had contact with anyone. Okay? There are laws on the books. No boats are to be in view. No planes to fly. Oh, right. There's a no-fly zone. That's it. Zero contact. All right. Well, they had a violent tropical storm out there that swept through the Indian Ocean. And the Indian government was like, we kind of need to check, right? Let's go see how they're doing. So they take a couple of helicopters and they just want to fly over the island to just check on them. You know what happened? Bows and arrows happened.
Yeah.
They'd never seen a helicopter. Right. Shoot first. And that's just, they've never seen a movie. They have no influence, but it's in our DNA, Dean.
Yeah.
And there's another part to this too as well, and it's such a great point, is that talking about possible litigation and positions that our government could find themselves in, not only the United States but governments around the world. UFOs and ET and contact and experiencers are not an American thing, right? This is a Earth thing.
Far from it.
Yeah, right, exactly. But here's another complicated situation, and that is, if we the world finds out that our governments, our leaders have been in possession of energy that could farm our fields and heat our schools with our children in it, and you've been keeping that from us, they're going to have a problem. I mean, you're really going to have some pissed off people. So they're going to have to approach this in a way. And I know that they're sitting around talking about this. Okay, it's okay to disclose, but how much do we let go of? Because there's potentially going to be billions of pissed off people.
Well, there are contradictions to all of this. As an example, every time we have technology like the stealth bomber, right? That's being built in several areas. Burbank, one of them, the main one.
Down the street from me, right here in Palmdale. Yeah.
That's right. And so what happens? It's all fixed and everything and test driven and it's good to go. We use it. We're dropping bombs, and we've been dropping bombs since we got it going. Luckily, there have been zero reports of a triangular craft or cigar-shaped craft or saucer craft with a bomb duct taped to the bottom of it that's being dropped in another country. So we've not seen any examples of it being weaponized in that way. So that leads me to believe that maybe we don't have it, or we don't have it to the extent that we would like to have it with regards to technology that could help, heat or do this and that. We actually have all these technologies here, whether it's solar or windmill. We kind of already have that, but we don't get behind it like we should. And that's for, capitalistic reasons and other reasons. And so the things that I'm interested in getting their technology, unfortunately, it's not good for us to have this technology because, I remember I was on this panel and I said, and this is in Shag Harbor, and I said, what do you guys want? They said, we want the technology, to fix our planet, what we're doing to it. And I said, okay. And I asked the person, I said, do you have any kids? Yeah, I've got 2 kids. Okay. Have you ever cleaned their bedroom? And they go, no, we make them clean their bedroom. I go, exactly. So we're going to have an alien species come here, clean up our mess. Guess what's going to happen? We're going to make it dirty again. That's just what we do. And so it's our responsibility. And where is the pride of humans being able to say, look at us, look what we bring to the table?
Yeah, people don't want to hear that, do they?
They just don't want to hear that, and I'm always reticent to mention that, but I feel like we need to be a little bit more on our best behavior. It's like, let's have the aliens come over. It's like inviting guests over, but in the meantime, this corner over here of the living room, we've got a war going on in the Middle East. This room, we have this and that. So we have a lot of stuff to work on in order to have guests over and bring out the nice silverware. I guess is what I'm saying. I don't want to expect too much. I think we're expecting too much of mankind to be able to handle that, and too much of these aliens to come in. So I feel like we have to meet halfway on the bridge, is I guess what I'm saying.
Do you remember that scene in Independence Day? And you know the scene well because it's in downtown LA, and they're on top of that big skyscraper in downtown LA.
Yeah.
And she's holding open the sign, right?
Yeah.
Take me or whatever, right? Help us, whatever the sign was. And they blast the building.
Yeah.
Right. But that sign that she's holding up, I don't know why so many of us, I'll say us, I'll throw myself into that camp a little bit, in that we just want somebody to save us. We don't want to roll up our sleeves and do the work ourselves.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, guys. One of the things that this is a sacred cow when it comes to conspiracy theories, which is fiber optics. That fiber optics was one of the first things that was pointed to. Yeah, we got that from the NHIs, and when I'm doing a lecture on it, I say, well, it is true that a human did not create this technology. That's a fact. You can look it up. It's a fact. It was 3 humans. And so for us to say, oh, we didn't create that, or we didn't create the integrated circuit, I go, how about a little human pride and accomplishments that we've done? We have developed that technology. And if we reverse engineer it, you look at people, some person came up with this component of it and someone else, and then someone else figured out how to put it together. And so to say that, oh, we've been given this technology and we already have it, there hasn't been a display that I've seen yet of things that if you can reverse engineer them, you can trace back to mankind ingenuity. I mean, we've done some pretty amazing things, and we're going to continue to do that. But we have to do amazing things that are for the betterment of mankind and not for the destruction. And so I really do believe that when a species is destroying more than it creates, there's a problem. And right now, every 10 years, we're wiping out 1 million different species every decade. We have some work to do.
Today on the news, the ice shelf in the Doomsday ice shelf in Antarctica, the protective layer, the ice sheet on top of it, is going to completely go away this year in 2026. Now, and that's protecting the rest of the ice that's underneath it, right? That's reflecting sun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But once that lets go, and then the Doomsday glacier itself decides it's going to do what it's going to do, and it's going to happen. You can see the cracks in it right now with satellite imagery. It's insane what's happening down there. And so I look at that, could there be technology of the alien kind that could reverse Mother Nature and the damage that we have done as humans to this planet? I don't know about climate change. Too many brilliant minds are arguing both sides of that. I'll let that play out on its own. That doesn't change the fact that the Doomsday Glacier is melting. And when that happens, everything is going to change on this planet. It's like a really, really, really big deal. So I look at that and I go, well, okay, do we do something about that? Or is this just nature playing itself out? And how many times have we gone through these types of climate change naturally in our planet's history? Well, the answer is we've had six mass extinction events that had nothing to do with aliens or pollution, right?
Right.
This is solar, this is cosmic, and this is things that our planet just goes through. But I look at that and I often wonder, do we need somebody else's help of the galactic kind to maybe fix some things? I don't know. It's weird how I can be so hypocritical, right? I can be a walking paradox because I can appreciate both views on this.
I as well, dude. For me, the things that we are in control of, as an example, is we are destroying the coral.
Yes.
And with fishing boats and stuff, and this is quantifiable in two ways. One is recently a 1958 recording was found of whales in the water. Now you go, okay, we can hear whales, we can record that now. So what's the big thing? What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that the whales key that they were singing in has changed. It is now a much higher pitched sound because it has to travel through all of the congestion, all of the traffic of these fishing boats. And it's not like way in the day where it was like, we were fishing at a certain amount. We are overfishing. That's just the fact. And these barges and stuff that go through the noise. And so whatever communication is going on, that's not just feeds into their habitat, but the ripple effect of, the whole ecosystem is all jacked up. When we are scraping out the coral, what people need to understand is that coral supplies more oxygen than all of the rainforests. So that is something that we can control, right? There's certain things that we can't. That just is because we're due for a mass extinction level, like volcanoes going off. We can't control that really to an extent. So I get that. So I'm kind of, I see both sides of it, but these are things that are critical. Now, let me put it back to the UFO community. The UFO community has been hearing that, and this is, if you will, the mythology, that these experiencers say that these beings are telling them two things. One is your technology isn't helping you. I happen to think what they were referring to wasn't just nuclear proliferation, but I think it has to do with smartphones. All this that we're doing, getting lost in this instead of what's going on in the world. But the other thing that they keep saying is you're jacking up your planet. So how can you be in this field and say, well, I'm going to ignore that aspect of it and feel like, well, that's just out of our hands. It's too much to deal with. And I'm not saying going out and, pick up the picket sign and start, going out there. To that degree, we should be aware and we should do something. We should vote for certain people that have that as their top agenda, because you can't get that back. We are discovering that we've gone too far. So if these beings are clearly saying two messages, and one of them is you're jacking up your planet, and I don't understand how we would ignore that and just say, okay, that's interesting, but I want to focus on other things. And so the other component of that no one talks about is that they show them images of the planet in catastrophic circumstances. So my question, and I haven't heard anyone ask this before, is where's that footage coming from? Where does it reside? Is that actual archive footage that they're pulling up and they're saying, here's what your planet is going to look like? I don't see aliens sitting down and writing prompts for AI special effects and creating this. This has been going on for decades. Decades. This has been
We
going
don't
on.
listen though, Dean.
Yeah.
Why it's so weird that well, it's not weird. It's just a way of life. But we are more comfortable with blinders on. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, and I don't want to get on a soapbox because it's not about that. But my point is just that there's a good chance that that footage that they're showing experiencers is actual archive footage of what has happened, and they can project out whether they're from the future or not.
I totally agree with what you're saying, and
but we have a chance.
Many just would rather just go to work 9 to 5. Right? Pay my taxes, come home, watch some CNN, eat dinner, and go to bed and do it all over again. Pay my taxes and make sure my mortgage is covered. Don't tell me about what we're doing to this planet or the future. I'm just in my safe zone. I'll continue paying my high electric bill and gas prices, right? As long as I don't have to deal with this other shit. And here's my Pandora's box with that. I'm so glad you bring up this point. Is my Pandora's box, mine. If I'm going to open something up, I mean, what if us from the future, right? Aliens, us goes, okay, all right, we have to talk. It never gets better. Right? What if that's the message? I know you guys want, peace on earth, and you want to, get to Shambhala, and that's the thing, and okay, that's great, but it never happens. Right? We're coming to you 1 billion years in the future, and man, that's my Pandora's box. It's just, when do we stop and just go, okay, enough is enough? You bring up this. This is a big deal. And today, smartphones, but computers, AI, and you choose to use the internet and data and predictions and AI and everything else, right? You'll do that. Okay. Right. At what price? These server farms and these data farms that are, being built in these rural communities to access their water and everything else. And you're okay with that, just as long as it's not in your backyard and you can still do your doom scrolling.
Right.
Right. It's crazy how we're told, we're warned, it's all out there, but man, it's crazy how so many people just don't give a crap. If it's not affecting you directly.
Yeah. And
I wanted to ask you something. I just interrupted you. You. What if, going back to your whale thing, what if AI figures out animal language?
Oh, it's being worked on right now.
It is,
dude. Dude, the weirdest stuff is coming the next 3 to 5 years. We have had successful tests, some of them in simulations, but some of them with test animals, lab animals, that have proven we can reverse aging. So we're creating a whole new species that's going to be 1,000 times smarter than us. That's never happened before in the history of mankind. One thing I want to quickly go back to is the fact that these aliens are saying, these NHIs are saying, you need to take care of your planet, you need to do that, means that we still have the ability to do that. When they stop saying that, that's when we're screwed. And I always check in with Yvonne Smith and say, are they still giving us that warning? Because once they stop, it's too late. But the thing about mankind we need to understand is when the Cold War happened, which is right after World War II, and it went right up to perestroika when the Berlin Wall fell. Do you know how much money was spent during that period on the Cold War?
Half the budget.
It's what Elon Musk wants to be worth at the end of this year. One
Yeah,
trillion. Yeah, $1 trillion. If we had $1 trillion, we would have bases on the moon. We would have bases on Mars. We would have, there could be universal income. I mean, the stuff that we could do with that. So we can do that. We have the potential. So the question is, are we going to pick this up and do something with it? But sorry, to get back to what you were saying.
I mean, wouldn't it be interesting to hear what the dolphins and the whales have to, or octopus, right? Octopi. Species that are much smarter than us. We don't give them credit because we don't see them every day, right? They live in the oceans. But they're talking. They have a language.
Crows.
And,
oh my God. Supremely intelligent.
Right. What are we going to do when we hear the shit talking that is going on? What are we
understand it. I heard that. I heard what you said. When you're able to communicate with your dog, game over, man. Dog's going to be, I saw what you did last night. Yep. I'm thinking about telling your wife. There's a lot of weirdness coming. This is a strange time that we've all incarnated, into, and it's going to get weirder. And so the only thing that I keep thinking about is, is there a generation like right now? A lot of the kids in this generation, the Gen Zers, are analog. They dig the old ways. A lot of them are buying flip phones. It started with the albums. Buying albums and cassette tapes, VHS. My movie, the McPherson Tape. If you find a VHS copy of that, it's worth supposedly $5,000 to $7,000. There's a premium. Yeah,
I might have one. I love that,
dude. Movie. Let's go on eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So mankind. Let's not count.
Though.
Oh,
I don't have the VCR.
You gotta get that. You get that. But I don't count out mankind because I'm not a pessimist. But at the same time, let's get on with it already. Let's do this because I want to be halfway on the bridge, man. I really want to meet them on our own terms, and I want to get there, and I want to see us succeed and see us be able to handle what's coming. But it's tough sometimes to do that because my girlfriend's always saying that her biggest fear is that we're all going to end up looking like the end of the movie WALL-E, where we're these
I'm there now.
We're just sitting there like on a hover little raft floating around, levitating with our big gulp, burping and with iPads and just going, this is it. And so
oh man, that's my other Pandora's box. I do a couple of things. I wanted to circle back to one important point that you brought up earlier. So I'll get that in before the end of the show. But what I have, I'm 62. Okay. I'm 62 years old. And I don't feel in my mind, we hear this so much these days, but we're a new generation. I don't feel any different in my head than when I was 20. Okay, I have the same attitude. Look at I don't live like what I thought a 62-year-old should be living like, right?
Right.
With my little glass figurines and whatever display cases and wood and no. I don't have plastic on my couches, TV trays. No. But my body is different.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I can't change that. But what I do is every day when I get up, I go outside with my espresso, my little espresso cup.
Nice.
I go outside in the sun.
Is this fade to black coffee espresso, by the way?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes,
all right.
Right there.
There it is.
Is I go out and put my face in the sun. I walk through the grass in my bare feet. And I started doing this 5 years ago. Now it's gotten to the point where I don't feel right if I don't do it. Like if I, if something tries to get my mind away from it in the morning, I ignore it and I walk my slappy butt outside into the sun and I take it in, and then my body is activated. I don't want to be Wally, right? I don't want to turn into that. And we all, dude, we're a week away. All of us are a week away from turning into Wally if we let ourselves do it.
Yeah. Well, it's ironic, isn't it, that when people retire at the age of, 65 to 67, that's the moment where you want to be able to enjoy being alive. And that's the moment when you're at the twilight of your physicality. It's kind of not cool. And so it's important, and people don't get this, that, there's all this talk, the sun's bad for you, this or that. Yeah, overexposure is bad for you, but you have to have vitamin D from the sun. I mean, you can take vitamin D vitamins. You need to do that. And also, by you walking with your bare feet, there's all these studies on the ground. There's all these studies that there's a magnetic field from the earth that you're taking in. And so you are getting literally fortified. This isn't like woo-woo stuff. This is actually quantifiable, where people have done studies where they are able to feel like they are more grounded. And so, we've got a reservoir where we live. And so we try to do that a few times a week. It's tough with the working schedules and stuff, but it is critical, because we are on this planet and we are connected to the planet. And so the planet is Gaia, it's living. And so I love to hear that you go out and you're literally making that connection, saying, hey, we're together in this.
My body doesn't start. It doesn't. The engine doesn't turn over, man, if I don't go out and okay. See this?
Yeah. What is that? Oh, gloves. Were you playing golf?
No,
or something?
that's from my motorcycle.
Oh, right. There you go.
Yeah. I look how tanned I am. Okay. Look, that's like a real tan.
Trucker tan.
Because I can't 100%. Because I need that. I want to stay moving. I want to stay moving forward. I want to be out in the sun. I want to, the alternative for so many these days is to work at home, not leave the house, stay in the house, and you're not getting in the car and driving to, and man, we've got a possibility of a whole generation of people that are never leaving their house. Yeah. And we turn into that movie WALL-E. Okay, I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
By the way, WALL-E, I cried like a little kid. That movie really was brutal. So well done, so well written. And again, always that act 1, act 2, act 3 hero's journey thing that I look for and everything. WALL-E had all of that. All right. But I remember watching that going, man, the warning signs are here. This is exactly what we can turn into instantly, like in a generation. And that was the underlying theme of that movie. And as clever as it was, I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not. I have a gym upstairs. I have a nice gym upstairs. I don't hit it as often as I should, but it's at least there. Yeah. And I get into it. I used to do it every day. I'm in there like every other day, or sometimes a couple times a week if I'm home. But it's very important to me, where I didn't need to do any of that before. I was always slim and.
Oh, dude, I still pine over the days of being in my teens, early 20s. I'm not proud of this, but occasionally I would go full on fast food, and this is what I would order. I swear to God, I would get a double Whopper with cheese, Whopper Jr., large fries, large vanilla shake, large root beer, and a pie. And half an hour later, I'm good to go to hit the gym and work out. And I don't put an ounce of gerbil fat on, man. Your body, there's a reason why your body, and I haven't figured it out because I just think it's just being an asshole, that it at some point just goes, we're going to slow your metabolism down.
Right.
Like,
yes,
a lot.
Yes.
And we're going to surprise you with it, because we're not going to give you a memo that's going to say, all right, so now this year you're going to have to eat, 10 pounds less than what you normally eat. And then the next year, the following year. So there's certain things like my desk. I've been having these horrendous sciatic pains with my back, and I'm going, what the hell? I'm doing the walking, but it doesn't matter because I'm sitting for hours on end editing or doing post. And so finally I broke down, and it took me long enough. I got a stand-up desk. And so it's actually like an accordion. I can raise it. So from down to up, and my back, literally 70% of the pain that I had went away. And I got myself some nice shoes that have soles, so I'm not just standing bare feet on a hardwood floor. And it's a game changer, man.
It's a total game changer. You know what worked for me is I had, and it lasted about 2 years. I had the worst sciatic pain on my left leg from my hip all the way to the tip of my, I mean, it was bad, dude. I'm watching all the videos. I'm doing the stretches and this, and I was on these long plane flights, 20-hour plane flight. And I was just, it was horrible. As soon as I got my first Harley in about 3 months, after 2 years of dealing with this, went away. Yeah. And what I think it was the vibration. Well, it's the sun, it's getting out and doing, but I think the vibration just back into
interesting.
Shape. Yeah.
The vibration theory.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to ask you, would you, because you said earlier that you haven't, that you know of, you haven't seen anything in the sky and you haven't had contact.
I know
but
where you're going with this.
Would you?
All right.
Would you do it? Would you do it? The ship comes down in the backyard. At the Alioto pad, and they go, dude, do you go?
Yeah, I used to say when people would be sarcastic about it, and they would say, why don't they come and visit me? I don't know what the big problem is. Just come down. I want to see you. And I would say to them, okay, imagine you're on your deck and it's the middle of the day and you look to your left and out around the corner comes a chimpanzee. And then it pokes back around and you get up and you go over and it's gone. How jacked up are you going to be? I'll tell you what's going to happen. You're going to, maybe you talk about it, maybe you don't. But over time, you start convincing yourself that didn't happen because that's just way too much of a spaz, weirdo, high strangeness. Now imagine a being, an NHI, poking its head around and leaving. I would want to be prepared for that. However, I was just talking to someone recently, and I said, okay, here's the circumstances that I would do that. Like, because we posed the question, if you could go back in time to any UFO experience or case, which one would you do? And he said Roswell. And I said, yeah, I would pick aerial school because it was in the middle of the day and they respected the boundary, those logs that frame the school, that there was an honor system that the kids wouldn't cross. And the aliens also honored it. They wouldn't cross. They were literally, these two beings on the other side, and they communicated telepathically. I'm down with that. I would do that. So yes, I would have that experience. I don't want it at night. I don't want to be taken. As much as I'd like to see the inside of the craft, unless I can see the exit door, I'm not terribly interested, but it isn't ingrained in me that this is something that I'm here to do, where I've been set on this path. I feel like my path is to let people know about the path of these unique individuals. But for me, coming out of the gate right now, not having been acclimated my whole life to this, that might be a bridge, too far. But I do have a million questions. Like, do these guys that are doing the work on you, do they have a union? Do they have breaks?
Do they have rules?
What do they do at leisure? What's their leisure thing? I would be curious about all of that. And so that would be of interest to me. But as long as I can control the narrative and it's a mutual thing, it's not a drive-by grab and go situation. I think I would be open to that. What about you?
Yeah, it depends on the food.
Yeah.
It
No one
depends
ever
on-
talks about how great the cuisine is on these
right,
cruises, right?
right. It's
Not
a
one.
big concern for. I don't want it to be a miserable experience,
Yeah.
and I don't want that. It's so. You remember Alan Rickman in Galaxy Quest?
Galaxy Quest, yeah.
Yeah. So they're all sitting around having dinner, right, on the ship.
Yeah.
And everybody's got this great cuisine. And they go, we prepared for you your favorite meal of your home planet, right? And it was that, that
Yeah.
live insect thing in the bowl. How miserable would that be if you had to go through that experience? But yeah, I would, at my age now, if it was a one-way trip, like with Roy, right, in Close
Roy
Encounters,
Ayers. Mhm.
yeah, I probably would. My daughter would be all right. My friends, are going to be fine here on the planet. If it was a one-way trip, I would do it. In Close Encounters, everybody comes back, right? The missing flight. What was that? Flight 42 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody comes back. That whole Project Serpo kind of situation. But if it was a one-way trip, yeah, at this age, I wouldn't do a one-way trip if I was younger. And it kind of the same thing with Mars. Would I go to Mars? I would go to Mars.
That's a definite
now.
one-way trip.
Yeah, it's a
You would do
one-way
what?
trip. I
Yeah.
would do it at my age now. I wouldn't do it if I was 21. No.
Yeah. No, I'm of the same mind. I mean, yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
It's
you brought up Ariel
Mhm.
and again John Mack. How lucky are we that he went to Africa with a real film crew and captured all of that stuff for the United Nations. I mean, it was just absolutely incredible that we have that. But Westall in Australia,
Yeah, let's
1966.
not leave that out. Yep. No, there's some great cases, middle of the day cases
Yeah.
that happen, contact stories. Those are contact, I would say, not experiencer based. However, I know it's a spectrum with experiencers. Those are seminal cases, man. Yeah, that would probably be one that I would love to go back, and visit, but that's so well documented. Preston Dennett did a book on these schoolyard visitations. That was really good. So it's, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, again, these experiencers, not to trivialize any of this, just trying to bring some levity to it, folks, is that there is a mission that they're, a part of. And so I feel like, I'm enjoying getting the pieces to the puzzle, and I have maybe two, if I'm lucky, maybe three of the corners to the puzzle done. But the middle of the puzzle is still missing for a lot of experiencers, and so is that one final, corner. And I feel like, as Travis Walton says in my documentary, he says he's constantly being confronted by people who say they have all the answers. He gets a lot of this. It's the government. Trust me, the government is doing everything. And it's like, how do you know? I know. No, how do you know? No. Are you firsthand witness, or have you heard this and this resonates with you? Because that's something. But he says they don't know. And he says because whoever they are, don't want us to know. And that's, he feels, by design. The kind of frustrating answer, you can't handle the truth type of thing. But the one thing I know is that life is like a movie, man. At some point, all this is going to make sense when it's time. It's the hero's journey, like you said. It really is. And all these civilizations have had their arcs where they come and go. And so, the question is, are we going to, because I really believe that we're coming here, we're incarnating because this is a school. This is for our evolution. And so to skip over several stages and get to where these beings are doesn't really make sense. It robs us of our maturity. And if we are seeded by the Anunnaki, which again is a great mythology, even by, was it Sitchin or Eric von Donigan, who said that he literally took from all these things to kind of make this thing. He admitted that. I'm going, well, if this is true, and we're going to, give it a shot at it being true, why haven't they bred out certain qualities that we have that make life difficult for other humans? We can do it with animals.
You're right, though. We have to go through the experiences. We have to evolve on our own. But the NHI that is visiting this planet, and they are, if they're getting here, they have watched other civilizations on other worlds come and go over time. Okay, so what have they learned from that? Is it technology that snuffs this out, these other planets and civilizations? Is it cosmic debris, right, that is doing this? Is it disease that is doing this? Is it war? Is it something else where these civilizations just come and go and get extinguished, right? So they must have firsthand experience with what we are going through. Now, you brought up a really good point. Any species that has gotten here has gone through theater, comedy, music, right? Art, sculpture, writing, technology, film, laws, justice, religions. They have evolved into what they are now. So we are going through why would they interrupt our experience of evolution? There's just no way that they would want to do that. Right? Now, giving us advice, right? Okay, man, don't drink that water over there. It'll kill you. Drink the water over here. Okay, well, that's good advice. That's not interrupting. But don't tell us that we can't listen to Van Halen or Pantera or get involved in our natural evolution. No, I don't see that playing out that way.
Yeah, I really don't mind, and I want to let people know that I'm advocating for that. I want to have that communion with them. I don't want them to come in and tell us, here's what you need to do to clean up your room. We should figure that crap out, and we already have the answers to that. I want to be able to have dialogue with other, NHIs, whether they're Mantis or the Nordics, whatever. I would love to be able to have that be a component of an awareness of life, that we do have these other species and connect with them. I would love to have that, but
what can they tell us, Dean, before we wrap? What is it that we would understand? Right? What is it? I mean, because they would have to talk down to our level, right? You know what I mean? What would we understand? What could they tell us that we could absorb?
God, I hope what it would be that we are all part of the same source, that there was something that created everything, whatever that is, that's God. That's the source. And that we're all the same when it comes to souls. No soul is greater than another soul. And that we are all going to get to the finish line and to have faith. I think that we could understand. We're not going to be able to understand the physics that they seem to be operating in.
Right.
Not yet. But I think that understanding and that optimism of saying, look, we got through this. We got through our worst parts of our development. And there's every reason to believe that you'll get through that as well. That would be great because, I think maybe it was a movie Contact where someone said the big question is, how did you survive? How did you get through all of these stages of maturity and survive? And so they're a living example that you can do that, perhaps. And so that, to me, is hopeful that another species has done that and has gotten to a point where they are almost godlike in their technology. And that is hopeful. That's the hopeful note that I am working from.
Dean, thank you so much. Congratulations on the film. The film is amazing. I invite everybody to check it out and share it with your friends and get it out there, because it's a brilliant piece of work. And thank you for being who you are, man, and your contributions to this community and the world, man. Dean, thank you so much. Great night on the show.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Dean Alioto, you're the best, Dean. I'll talk to you soon. I'll call you over the weekend. All right, man. Thank you, Dean. Dean Alioto. Dean, thank you so much. Dean's links are below. We've got them up in the chat. Go and check it out. The film is absolutely amazing. It is The Experiencer's Full Disclosure. Go check it out right now on Amazon. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What are we doing? Oh, man. I can't believe I am brain farting right now. What are we doing tomorrow night? Tomorrow night on the show, I'm going to tell you right now. What are we doing tomorrow night? Tomorrow night is, Trey Hudson is here tomorrow night. The God Helmet. So I will see everybody tomorrow. For now, everybody go check out Dean's new film, The Experiencer's Full Disclosure. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. All I've got is go back, Lee Tep. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go back, Lee Tappy.